Well, we're excited to be here. I know there's been a lot of information, and I'm a student of life, and I love learning something every single day. So this has been such a joy to be here. So thank you for having me. We're going to get right to it. I definitely want to, you don't have to share your story of who you are. We know who you are. I really want to get into, first of all, thank you for being here and just telling us what you've been going through with not just your dad. We were told that he did not have Alzheimer's, that he has FTD, which you can explain, and also your recent diagnosis of what just happened to you as well. And explain that to us.
Well, hi, I'm happy to be here. A little nervous. I hope that's okay. I think you're referring to the diagnosis that I got of autism a few years ago, and that actually was quite a opening space for me. That was very validating. In the same way that when we finally got to what my dad was diagnosed with, it was helpful, but I think there's also still that piece of grief. Mm-hmm. And I think that when I read the kind of name of what the conversation, I thought, well, wow, how can I talk about the way that I've transcribed grief in my body? Because I think you feel grief in your cells. I think you feel it deep down. I have a lot of grief in nostalgia. I have a lot of grief looking in the past. I have a lot of grief thinking what could have been. And I feel like what I really am happy to do and happy to be here is to use what, as you said, people know who I am. I don't need a ton of backstory, especially with what's going on with my dad. And it is hard, of course, and I've been able to redefine what it feels like when people share their well wishes or ask how he's doing, because I know, wow, he impacted so many people, and he really has touched so many people, and I want to carry that torch in my own way. Is that okay of an answer?
No, of course. In case some of you don't know, her dad is Bruce Willis, and even just navigating through that on a daily basis, on top of then you being diagnosed, what are the things that you're doing to help you get through this? Not just you yourself, but even the family.
It's so funny. Really, the answer is animals for me. I wish there was someone had a dog in the hallway, and I thought, wow, great idea, because even the anxiety that you can just kind of release into. So any opportunity that I can work with animals, be with my animals, work with rescues, that's something that I think is very universal and doesn't necessarily feel exclusionary to other, factors. I think there's a universality in animals.
And that does help you, like with anxiety, all the
Absolutely.
things that you feel.
Yeah.
Being around animals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My dog is upstairs, so I understand. She goes with me as much as she can, so I get the, being around animals, it's a whole nother thing. And when you can't be around animals, like right now, and traveling without animals, what else can you do to share with the people that can help someone get through the process?
Yeah, for me, it was really important to find a sense of peace within myself. Kind of everywhere you go, there you are. You can't, you can try, but you really can't escape yourself. And I decided at one point to stop sprinting away from myself and turn around and look at myself, and really, it was confronting and beautiful and messy, and it's not over. It's a continual process, but I have a sense of companionship with myself that I know wherever I go, I'm speaking through a real aligned place. What's on the inside is on the outside. And that has helped me, especially because a lot of the things I do without even choice are public or visible. And so I just really want to be responsible with that platform. And also, I just think everyone has the tools within them at this moment to heal what they need to heal.
Amen to that.
Thank you.
Well, it's hard, you growing up being in the public eye, so I understand, we understand that it's more challenging than ever. But we thank you for sharing and being transparent, because telling your story and what you go through does really, truly help others. And we appreciate you being here. Thank you for that.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
I just met you both backstage, even though I know more about you than Harry, but I know Harry, his music, and an incredible story that you have, being an artist. And I want you to share your story and what's going on with you.
A lot is going on with me. Well, first off, I am a lymphoma survivor. I had cancer when I was 20 years old. I battled for about 2 years, and which, was the toughest time of my life. It kind of stripped everything from me, right? I was a very insecure kid, but I was like the funny guy. My accomplishments at the time was class clown every year from 7th grade to senior year of high school, but it was more of a cry for help. Right. Kind of thing. And I think I was very insecure as a kid because it's very good at entertaining. When there was eyes on me, I could make everybody laugh. And it all started from it's funny, 5th grade, I'm dyslexic. And I remember I couldn't pronounce a word, and the teacher was like, "How dumb are you?" This is a real life 5th grade teacher, and I was hysterical crying, and everyone was laughing at me. And I remember that moment and it's crazy that I can hold that still to this day, but that moment turned into my mom freaking out on the teacher, to now the next day I'm getting called to read again, and I said something funny and everyone started laughing. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
They're not laughing at me, they're laughing with me, and I get kicked out of class. I was like, identity found.
Got it.
Until I got diagnosed with cancer. And I was like, identity lost, because I was never true to myself. So now here I am, lost 100 pounds, bald, no hair. It's like the most insecure you can be, but the most vulnerable you could be. And I told myself, if I can get through this, and I can do anything, right? But at the time, I had music. And I remember sitting my first chemo, I sat next to someone this close, and she grabs me, and she's like, "This is gonna suck." And I'm like, "This is awesome, thank you." I know, what the fuck? There's chemo in my arm right now, I'm scared. She's probably 70 years old, and she was like, "What do you love to do, Harry?" And I said, I love to make music. And meanwhile, prior to this, the day I got diagnosed with cancer was the day I got my first record deal.
Wow.
So I left a label, had an asthma attack from excitement, went to an ER, stage 4, tumors all over my body.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, "You need to do chemo today. You need to be in there now. You have barely any days left," kind of thing. So I went from the best day of my life, genuinely, to genuinely the worst day of my life. And so everything kind of clicked, and I was like, what's this all for? Maybe I'm supposed to die. Maybe as a butterfly effect, maybe my family will be affected by this, and maybe they'll go on to do great things. And I had to come to be okay with death, right? And that was my biggest fear.
Wow.
And then I became okay with it, and I was like, if I don't wake up and that's okay, maybe I didn't live a life true to myself, and maybe that's why I got diagnosed. Maybe I just did it wrong. And going through treatment, then there was one day where I was it clicked, and I was like, wait. Going back to this woman, she said, "What do you love to do?" And I said, "I love to make music." And she's like, "Would you die for music?"
Wow.
I die for, I'm like, I'm dying right now. I was like, would I die for music? I have no idea if I would die for, I guess, right? I look back, why do I even make music? Because it's healing. Childhood was very all over the place, really tough, come from a family of addiction. My escape was headphones, running into, listening to Run DMC, listening to Flava Flav. These are the people my dad would put me on to. And there's artists that used I didn't know how to speak. I didn't know who I was as a kid. So when I listened to people who had a voice and had a swagger and had this, I was like, that's who I want to be. But I was just hiding inside. I didn't know how to say words to anybody. Yes, I would die for music, is what I said to her, because I remember why I make music. It's healing. She said, no matter how tired, sick, nauseous, everything, put music before cancer. You like your families and friends? I said, yeah, family, friends, music, cancer. You show up like it's a 9 to 5, you do the work. It doesn't define you, it's a part of you. So I was like, fuck. She's like, you know, you're gonna beat this and you're gonna go on and tour and you're gonna do all these things with music. And I was like, yeah, I am. She's like, you should make music every day. Even if it's 2 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, 5 hours watching someone listening to music, have it be the main part of your day. So I did that. And it changed my life because I was like, I have something to fight for.
Right.
And this is the first time I started finding my identity. So I've stripped down, I'm basically reborn, genuinely. And so now everyone, it's like, now it's a fresh start. If I beat this, it's a fresh start. I'm gonna be reborn and I'm just gonna give back. And, you know, that's kind of what happened. And I beat cancer.
That
Yes.
right there, hold on. Let's just get that.
I beat it.
Yes.
And my doctor was like, so what's next? And I was like, oh shit. And I was like, I was so comfortable with this guy for the last 2 years. And I was like, music. It's
That's
like, all right,
right.
you're gonna go do music. And so I finished my first album during chemo, went out to shop it. I got a record deal with Jay-Z for Rock Nation. And my dad passed away that week.
Oh my goodness.
My first show ever with a microphone was the day after my dad died. He passed away randomly, and I have this tattoo, I don't know if you can see, but it says singers sing.
I see it.
Because my dad, I taught myself how to sing. I don't even know I still can sing. It's just more of like, only I can say these words. So that's why I do it. And he would always be like, hey, can you sing me a song? We'd be at lunch, and I'm like, no, come on. You know, singers sing. Like, that's what you want to be a singer, is you sing to me anytime, at any moment. And I was like, no. You know, like, I have to be perfect before I sing for you. And he passed, and everyone's like, you don't have to do the show. You don't have to do it. You know, like, your dad just died yesterday. And I said, singers sing. The show goes on. You know, and I toured for the next 18 months, and then COVID happened.
Wow.
And so that's the first time I actually grieved, was during COVID.
Wow.
Yeah,
So music was one of your tools that you didn't even know you had.
exactly.
Yeah. Look at that.
And so the grieving process was, you know, obviously a tough thing, but
Wow.
I'm still think I'm going through it, you know, but it's like I took the pain and I turned it into purpose, you know.
Absolutely. Pain to purpose is what it's about.
Yeah.
And with the both of you, you know, when we leave here right now, is there anything that you can, one or two nuggets that you can share with them, that something that they can do in a positive way to get through, you know, grieving or pain, something, one thing like music or creativity or?
I do art, I do drawing. I think any medium of art is an amazing expression, but something that I feel like is really actionable is parts work. And so you kind of center yourself and you check in what part of you internally, part of your emotional self needs to be heard. And then whatever comes out, you put on the paper.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
I have a lot of, I think a routine is really important. So I always carry a journal. I've carried a journal for the last like 13 years, and I have like hundreds filled up, because the first thing I do in the morning is journal. When I'm feeling anxious, I journal. When I'm
Right.
feeling happy, I journal. When I'm feeling sad, I journal. It changed my life, because that's what I did when I was going through treatment, because I was like, I want to write a story, and if I don't make it, it'll look back. But I have this gem that I have it tattooed on me, but it's a quote, and it's, pay attention, be astonished, and tell about it. And I think it's just being present in every moment, because for me, it's like, we get to experience all of this, but we're going to go back to reality tomorrow.
Right.
And how do you take that in your everyday life? Because we're going to be throwing a lot of shit. And, you know, like, how do you take that, and how do you just like be patient with it, and how do you know that this exists? You know, and people like this and connection and community exists. So I think just pay attention, be astonished, and tell about it, and take the moment and use it into your everyday, at the coffee shop, at the gas station,
There you
meeting a
go.
stranger. Just be a fucking good person, you know?
Singers sing.
Yeah.
Singers sing, yes, exactly, you know?
Well, that's the three things we'll go away with what they said, as well as there's three things. We all want to be loved. We all want to be respected. We all want to be heard. Continue to tell your stories and change lives, change people's lives in the ways that unimaginable. We have to be the voice. So continue to share your stories. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Please,
Thank
Harry
you.
and Tallulah, thank you so much. We appreciate it.